Hi you guys, this video is for a practice for checkpoint 3. So again, I would suggest you get out a piece of paper and do these problems along with me, and then use this as your notes when you do your actual checkpoint right after this for a grade. So get your paper ready, write these down, and then use it as your notes. So number 1 will look something like this. It's going to ask you to solve for x. So you have a couple choices here, but probably what I would choose is to do the distributive property. So I'm going to go 4 times x is 4x. 4 times minus 3 would be minus 12. And equals 16. So now I'm always going to do my addition or subtraction before I multiply or divide. So I'm going to add 12 to both sides. So I'm left with 4x equals 28. And last, divide by 4. So I get x equals 7. So that's what number 1 will be like. Number 2, another solving problem. So I'm going to do my addition or subtraction first. So I'm going to add 5 to both sides. So I'm left with 3x equals 15. And now I'm going to divide by 3 on both sides. So I get x equals 5. I would highly suggest you do the steps and write them down. Don't try to do it all in your head. That's where people make mistakes. Number 3, we have a word problem. Bob is reading a 250-page book. He has already read 50 pages. He can read 10 pages in an hour. Write an equation to represent this. So just realize that every sentence they give you is going to be used in your equation. So when you're done, make sure you've used all of the numbers they gave you. Otherwise, they wouldn't give you those numbers. So we know that the book is 250 pages altogether. So when I hear like the total is 250, to me that kind of means equals 250. So I'm going to start by writing that. I know the whole book equals 250. So he's already read 50 pages, and he can read 10 pages in an hour. So the 10 pages in an hour, that's like multiplication. If he reads for 1 hour, that's 10 pages. If he reads for 2 hours, that's 20 pages. If he reads for 3 hours, it's 30 pages. So it's like 10 times the number of hours he reads. So if he reads 5 hours, that's 50 pages. So I'm going to have 10h. You don't have to use h. You could use any variable you want. And we know he's already read 50 pages. So I'm going to put plus 50. He's already done the 50. We don't need any more hours to get those 50. So this would be the equation to represent that problem. It doesn't ask you to solve it on this problem, but you could solve to see how many more hours he needs to read the whole book if you wanted to. But it just asks for the equation. So there it is. All right, number 4, another word problem. And I just used Bob every single problem on this one because it was an easy name to think of. Bob was selling candy bars for a fundraiser. He spent $20 on the box and sold each bar for $3. His profit was $50. Write an equation and solve it. Okay, so we know he spent $20 on the box, and he sold each bar for $3, and his profit was $50. So I didn't write down all the details of this problem, obviously. I think we're trying to solve for how many bars did he sell. I'm pretty sure. So $3 per bar. I'm going to start with that right there. Each bar costs $3. So I'm going to have 3 times B for bar, how many bars he sold. So every bar he sold is 3. Now he had to buy this box of bars for $20. So out of all of the profits he's making, he will have to subtract 20 because he already had to buy it for $20. So $20 of his profit is going away. And altogether, his profit was $50. So let's solve this and see if that makes sense. So I'm going to add 20 to both sides. So I have 3b equals 70. I'm going to divide by 3 on both sides. And I get b equals, let's see, what's that going to be? 70 divided by 3, 23 and a third, maybe? So I get that he's had to sell 23 and a third bars. Now, that doesn't actually make sense for this problem, but I just made up these numbers off the top of my head. So that is why it came out as 23 1/3. So you wrote the equation and solved it correctly. The one on your actual checkpoint will probably come out as a whole number because you probably sold a whole number of bars. Number 5, Bob rents a piano for $50 per month. He earns $25 an hour for giving lessons. He wants to know how many hours of lessons he needs to give to earn $400 in a month. Okay, so similar to the other two we've already done. He earns $25 an hour for giving lessons. So I'm just going to start with that. 25H. Every hour he earns $25. He had to pay $50 to rent the piano. So just like up here, he had to pay $20 for the box of chocolate bars. So I'm going to subtract the $50 that he had to pay for the piano. So out of the money he's making on lessons, we have to take away $50 because that's how much it cost him to rent the piano. And he wants to know how many hours he'll have to teach to earn $400. So to solve this equation, I'm going to add 50 to both sides. So I have 25H equals 450. So I'm going to divide by 25. So you can do this on your calculator. I just don't have a calculator right here. So 25 goes into 45 one time. 25 goes into 200 8 times. So he needed to teach 18 hours of lessons to earn $400. All right, number 6, the last one on this checkpoint. Bob earns $10 an hour for his job. Sally earns $8 an hour plus $10 a day in tips. Both Bob and Sally worked the same number of hours on Tuesday. They give you the equation. They want you to find H. How many hours did they work? So we have Bob earning $10 an hour, and we have Sally earning $8 an hour, plus she just gets $10 in tips at the end of the day. It's not $10 an hour in tips. It's just $10 for the day in tips. So we need to solve for H. Now we need to get all of our variables on the same side. Right now I have an H over here and an H over here. In order to solve for H, I need all the H's on one side so that I can have something that says H equals a number. So I'm going to choose to subtract 8H from both sides. So on the left, 10H minus 8H is 2H. My 8 H's cancel it out over here, and I'm just left with my positive 10. Divide by 2. So I get that H equals 5. They worked 5 hours on Tuesday. So those are the problems for checkpoint 3. Hopefully you took notes and you can use this on your checkpoint, which you're going to do right after this.